Hello, fellow collectors. I hope you're doing well today. I'm back with another TTM show. TTM stands for Through the Mail. These are through the mail autographs that I get mostly from sports players. Today, I have a local hero, a local New England hero. I'm going to share with you. I got my Duncans to commemorate this episode. I'm not sponsored by Duncans. They're not paying me, but you got to have your Duncans when you're doing a New England hero video. All right. So, here we have today. We have a 3 items sent, 3 items signed. 11 days, no fee. This is coming out of Boston, Massachusetts. And there is the return address here. This is indeed Mr. Joe Morgan, Walpole Joe, Turnpike Joe, the pride of Walpole. And we have him here. First off, I sent this and I have a couple more things. This is something I found on the internet. It looks like a cover to an old VHS, but I liked it because it said, Morgan's Magic, the story of the 1988 Boston Red Sox, and we're going to learn a little bit more about his magic. And I asked him to sign with he was one to know have all these catchphrases. And one he used to say, he used to pump up the team going 6-2 and even, 6-2 and even. No idea what it means, but it was a saying. That's Joe Morgan for you. I think it's like a horse racing saying, something to do with betting horses, 6-2 and even. Joe Morgan, Morgan's Magic. I'm going to find a spot for this. I'm going to put that over there for now. And we also got him here on the 1989 tops with the Walpole Joe inscription, which I did ask for, and on the 90 tops with the inscription as well. So, this is Joseph Michael Morgan. He was born November 19th, 1930 in Walpole, Massachusetts. At the time of this video, he's 91 years old. He attended Walpole High School and went on to Boston College after high school, where he was excelled in baseball and hockey. He was quite a good hockey player as well. And he did play several years in the majors. He had a brief stint in the majors playing 1959 to 1964 with the Milwaukee Braves, his favorite team as a boy, the Kansas City Athletics, the Philadelphia Athletics, the Cleveland Indians, and briefly the St. Louis Cardinals. Just a 193 hitter with 2 homers, 10 RBIs, and 187 at-bats. He was a left-handed batter, played third baseman, second baseman. Mostly came in as a pinch hit and roll. But that's what he's not mostly known for. He's known for his stint as the manager of the Boston Red Sox. And so he managed the Boston Red Sox from 1988 to 91, and he came in 1988 and at the All-Star break, and that's when the story of Morgan's Magic began. They also called him Walpole Joe because he's from Walpole, Massachusetts. Also call him Turnpike Joe because his job in the off-season was he drove a snowplow down the Massachusetts Turnpike. That was his job. All right, let's move these around, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Mr. Morgan. I found kind of bio here that I'm going to read through. When I can find a nice spot for this here. I don't know if I can do that. Oh, well, I'll do my best there to put that on my Fenway. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Let's put that on one of my stands here. Which is certainly not working. But anyways, beside the point. But I just put it down right here. I'll show you again before we're done here. Morgan's Magic. Joe Morgan and Morgan Magic. 28 years ago, this July, this was probably a 2016 article, I assume, 28 years ago. Probably talking about 1988. So now we're 34 years ago. This July was Magic in the air at Fenway Park, Morgan Magic. Red Sox third base coach Joe Morgan was named as interim manager, replaced John McNamara on July 14, 1988. And the Red Sox won under Morgan and won some more, and they kept on winning. At 85, he's now 91, Joe Morgan still remembers most of the details of what he calls the longest day of my life. Relaxing is a long-time Walpole home, Joe recalls. I didn't have any inkling that they were going to make a change, but we were in the locker room getting ready for a night game when the Kansas City Royals and Haywood Sullivan, general partner, came in and went directly into McNamara's office. Lou Gorman, general manager, took me aside and said, "We're letting McNamara go. We want you to take over. We can until we find someone permanent." I said, "Well, don't look too hard because he's standing right in front of you and you're talking to him." Joe Morgan had finally fulfilled his lifetime ambition of managing a big league club, but nothing ever came easy for Joe. "I'm finally a big league manager. My first day, it's raining. It looks like we're going to play, and then it looks doubtful." I was back and forth from the clubhouse to the dugout. I did speak to the team just to get the communications going. I did find some time to call my wife Dorothy. That was important, he added. Eventually, the game was postponed. When Joe went home to Walpole, the phone was ringing off the hook. I heard from everybody, even people I hadn't talked to in years. The phone rang until 1:30 in the morning and started again at 7:30 the next morning. It was a relief to get back to the ballpark, Joe remembers. Joe Morgan's first decision as manager was to skip pitcher Oil Can Boyd and start Roger Clemens in the first game of the twilight doubleheader. It was a good decision as Clemens struck out 16 rails batter and rolled to a 3-1 victory. "Roger was my ice in the hole," Joe said. Wade Boggs and Jim Wright led the offense in the second game, and the Red Sox won 7-4. Joe Morgan had a 2-game winning streak to start his big league managerial career. Favorite son of Walpole, Massachusetts. Joe Morgan was born and raised in Walpole, Massachusetts, and he grew up a Red Sox fan. "I remember we would get on the bus in Walpole Center and would drop us off on Huntington Avenue by Wentworth Institute," Joe says, looking back almost 80 years. "Then we'd walk across the fence to Fenway Park." Joe started baseball and hockey at Walpole High School, and his athletic prowess earned him a scholarship to Boston College. He commuted daily to BC from Walpole while playing center on the hockey team and shortstop on the baseball team. In 1952, he signed a minor league contract with the Boston Braves, and he began his 40-year baseball career with the Hartford Chiefs in Class A Eastern League. Joe earned his bachelor's degree from BC in 1953, and after a season in Evansville, Illinois, he spent 1954 and 1955 in the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, Mr. Morgan. Indeed. Joe Morgan had a big year in 1956. He hit .300 for Jacksonville in the Sally League, and he married Dorothy Glibus of Walpole, Massachusetts. "Dottie deserves all the credit in the world," Joe insists. "Unless you've been a baseball wife, you have no idea what it's like." I actually got that signed card as well. My previous return from Mr. Morgan. Third return from him. Joe Morgan made it to the big leagues with the Milwaukee Braves in 1959. He played in 13 games for the franchise he rooted for as a youngster. But Kansas City purchased his contracts in August and finished the season with the A's. He started the 1960 season with the Philadelphia Phillies, but he was acquired by the Indians in August. "I played well in Cleveland," Joe recalls. "I hit .298 and had a couple of home runs. That was my best year in the majors." Joe played briefly for Cleveland in 1961, and he was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, who sent him to Charleston, West Virginia. "I was bouncing all over hell," Joe laughed in memory. Joe made it back to the majors with the Cardinals in 1964. And when his playing career was over in 1966, he played for 9 different minor league teams and 5 big league clubs. Minor league manager. In his first season as manager, Joe Morgan was a player manager for the 1967 Raleigh Pirates in the Class A Carolina League. He managed in the Pittsburgh system for 7 seasons, and his team finished in first place 3 times. Then he made a faithful call to Red Sox general manager Dick O'Connell, asking about the managing job in Pawtucket. I called Dick O'Connell at home, he said. A lot of people have been asking about the job, making a lot of calls, but he's the only one who has called me. I make the decision around here, and I say, you got the job. Joe Morgan managed it for 9 seasons with Pawtucket and was an ideal match. Paw Sox owner Ben Monham recognized Morgan's value to the franchise, and Joe was a fan favorite. Players who passed through Pawtucket under Morgan on their way to the big club included Fred Lynn, Jim Rice, Wade Boggs, and Bruce Hurst. At one point, Ben Mortar offered Morgan lifetime security if he would commit to managing Pawtucket for the rest of his career. Joe politely turned him down. Why not? Asked Mortar. Because someday I want to manage in the big leagues, Joe told him. In 1983, Joe Morgan gave up the Pawtucket's manager job to be a scout for the Boston Red Sox. Despite 17 successful seasons of managing the minor leagues, he had never received a single invitation to interview for a big league manager job. I invited myself for interviews twice, Joe offered, setting the record straight. When the Red Sox were interviewing to replace Don Zim, I went to see Haywood Sullivan and made my case. But Haywood turned me down, and when the Red Sox were replacing Hoke, I stuck my head into Haywood's office. He said, if you were here for the same reason as the last time, the answer is still the same. In 1985, Joe Morgan joined the manager John McNamara's staff as the first base coach. In 86, he took over his bullpen coach, and his World Series share allowed Joe to take the winter off after 30 years of off-season work. And as I already said, he was snow plowing work. In 87, he became the third base coach and retained the position through the All-Star game in 86. Morgan Magic. The Red Sox followed their doubleheader sweep on July 15, 1988, with 2 more wins over Kansas City. The team had moved from 9 games behind in the AL East to 6 back in just 1 week under Morgan. Minnesota came to Fenway next, and after taking the first 2 games, the Red Sox were trailing 7-5 in the 10th in the series finale. But Todd Benzinger wrapped a 3-run home run around the pesky ball for a walk-off win and Joe Morgan's 7th straight victory. That's the game I remember best, Joe says. I was giving Benzinger more playing time, and he came through. And Mrs. Yockey told me to give him the job for the rest of the year. Red Sox fans were re-energized by Morgan Magic. For the rest of the season, every game at Fenway Park drew at least 32,000 fans, and most of them sold out. The White Sox followed the Twins into Fenway, and the red-hot Red Sox swept them in 4 straight. The Red Sox headed to Arlington, Texas with an 11-0 record under their new manager. Roger Clemens gave them their 12th straight win with a sparkling 2-zip shutout the Rangers. Morgan's 13 games of major proved unlucky. The streak came to an end with a 9-8 loss to Texas. But the Red Sox was far from over as the team started a new winning streak with a win over Rangers the next even. A crowd of more than 35,000 at Fenway welcomed the Red Sox home that Friday night, and they were rewarded with a doubleheader sweep over Milwaukee. In the 2 weeks since Morgan was named manager, the Red Sox improved from 9 games back in the AL East to 1.5 games back. I didn't make a whole lot of changes, Morgan recalls. Gave Benzinger more at-bats and put Judy Reed at short for more offense. But we were a good team that finally got it together. Clemens beat the Brewers on Saturday, and Boddicker shut out Milwaukee 5-zip on Sunday. Then the Red Sox swept the Rangers in a 2-game series at Fenway. The team had won 19 out of 20 under Morgan, and they were tied for first atop the AL East. The Red Sox announced that Morgan's contract had extended to manage the team at 89. Looking back on his remarkable start as manager, Joe Morgan says, "What I remember best was winning those 12 games. I think it will be a while before anybody beats that. The 12-game streak is probably my best memory as a manager." After winning 19 out of 20, with Morgan in control, the team went on came back to the earth, but still managed to hang on to win the East. There's some of the numbers. They played 600 ball under Morgan. And he ended up leading them into a division title in 90 as well. And he's in an argument with the umpires. He was ejected as manager of the Red Sox 11 times. He's generally a very mild-mannered guy, but when he got fired up, he got the team fired up, and he would get the boot out of the game. Well, also, not a pretty interesting fact about Morgan as well. You can look at that. I'm not going to read the rest. Is that he was the manager of the Pawtucket Red Sox during the famous 33-inning game, the longest game in baseball history. The Red Sox went on to win that game over a span of 2 days, over 2 months. Separated, the game stopped and they restarted the game a few months later. Actually, Joe Morgan was ejected in the 22nd inning. So, thank you so much, Mr. Morgan. I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but I wanted to share some of Morgan's magic here. I hope you stuck with me. And as I lose my camera phone here. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Morgan. Gonna put that one in the frame and hang that up. Appreciate you joining me from another TTM show. Take care. God bless. Peace. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Walpole Joe. Morgan's Magic. Yeah.